Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the MMA Huddle. As you can see, oops, nearly dropped me a microphone there. As you can see, Will is not here right now. Okay, so I understand with my work, my new kind of hours, and his work with his hours, we just can't both be on at the same time doing our thing. So apologies for that. We are trying to get things sorted in the future. So do feel free to have a go at us. But we are going to do the breakdown of the Colby card and the Woodley bout. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, give us your picks in as always. Drop them in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. We will get right into this in a moment. Hope you're all doing great. As you can see, I'm wearing my Chargers t-shirt because the NFL is back. Super stoked. I don't know how many of you guys and girls like the NFL, but I'm a bit of a fan of the NFL. My Chargers started off the season with a win against the Bengals, so that was a relief. There's still a bit of dubious debate about the position in quarterback, who they're going to play with, but either way, I'm super excited. I saw that Will's team as well got the win. So good start for Will's team, the Arizona Cardinals. But again, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. It's been an up and down card again as usual, which is a bit of a pain, I won't lie. But these things happen. Get in here, join the conversation. As you can see, there's a live chat. I'm opening it up to everyone to come in and join on this conversation. I'll kick off by saying last week's card was very fun. I enjoyed it. I don't know what you all thought of it. Michelle Watson and Angela Hill, the kind of rejigged main event. Watson getting the win. Good for her. I still think she's a bit shy of getting anywhere near a title shot. I think Angela Hill is the same position where those girls are always going to be kind of middle echelon. They're never going to reach the pinnacle of the UFC gold, so to speak. But either way, I think these girls are going to do fantastic in their careers. Now, let's jump in here to the first fight on the card. Now, I'm going off the fight card that I have, ladies and gentlemen, which is on what's called Wikipedia. So I'm going off what I've got on Wikipedia. If you've got anything different, again, feel free to say down below. There's been some changes to the card, so we're going to kick off with Meerschaert Betchik is going against Damon Jackson, who's returning back to the UFC. The gentleman fought back in 2014, 15, something like that. And he is back. So Jackson is back with an opportunity for redemption because he got popped with some diuretic, I think it was. He had a fight overturned and stuff like that. So he's up against a tough test in Meerschaert. Meerschaert is a fantastic kind of well-rounded fighter. He's got some good striking. He's also got some good takedowns. And when he gets in top position, he can get on top and stay there for a while. He lost a split decision to Dan Ige, which again was super, super tight. I don't know what you guys thought of that fight, but I thought that was crazy tight and potentially wasn't a loss for him. Obviously, he had the loss to Josh Emmett, but a lot of guys, if they don't fight the right way against Josh Emmett, you step in there with Josh and you think it's a good idea to stay standing, you're going to get in for a bad day. But with the kind of skill set that Jackson's got with the grappling aspect, it's a tough fight for Betchik. You know, if I'm Betchik, I would not want to enter into this bout with the grappling mindset because Jackson's got some really good ground game. He's very good at getting the back body triangles. He's really making sure he's just got a solid little attack. Jackson has got, it's a tough one actually because he's got a bit of power in his hands. He's cleaned up his striking a lot more over the years, especially when he was in the UFC to now. You can see he's polished off his striking a lot more than he had done back then. And that will come with experience and time in the fight game. So, you know, it's not, by all means, it's not an easy fight for Meerschaert. Obviously, you don't know what the condition is of Jackson. I don't know how well he's been training, etc. But I am going to pick Meerschaert Betchik. I just think that he is a superb fighter. I think he's a superb kind of athlete. I don't know if he's been the same since I think he had ACL or MCL surgery. I kind of feel like he hasn't been the same since then when he was down at ATT. But Yeah, I would go with Meerschaert on that one. Feel free to put your picks in below in the comment section if you're going to pick with Jackson. Love to know your reasons why. Obviously, he's got some great weapons in his arsenal, but I'm going to go with Meerschaert. I think he can tough out a decision win here. It can maybe even use the kind of cage work to get the win rather than the grappling takedowns. Next up, we have in the bantamweight division another change in opponents, another change on the fight card. We cannot predict this to happen, so it's not no one's fault. So we have got Tyson Nam, who was taking on Jerome Rivera. Now, Jerome Rivera is a very good Dana White Contender Series fighter who had a fight against Luis Rodriguez. Performed very well in that fight. Guy's been on LFA as well, where he fought Brandon Royale. He got an injury in that fight, sadly, so that kind of scuppered the plan. I think he did something to his hand. I think he punched him, maybe dislocated something. I can't remember off the top of it. He got some kind of in-fight injury. But he's a guy who's very good on the feet. He's got a good game on the feet, but I feel like he is a bit shy or he's a bit short in experience and knowledge because he does make some kind of errors in fights that I've watched. He does leave himself exposed to maybe on the ground game with submissions where he just makes the wrong choices in fights. But for me, Tyson Nam, this is actually not as easy of a fight for Tyson Nam. I say easy as a fight. That's terrible to say that. Saying that he had an easy fight prior to this. But what I mean by that is I feel like Meerschaert had Tyson Nam himself is a very patient fighter. Doesn't rush. Takes his time. Land strikes on counters. And he's got pop in his hands. I think Jerome here will be kind of want to keep the range as well. It's going to be even though they're fighting at bantamweight. Tyson looked great at bantamweight as opposed to flyweight. Maybe he might feel comfortable being in bantamweight. He might realize that extra 10 pounds is going to give him the pop and power he needs. And I feel here Tyson Nam could absolutely do the business with landing the greater power in the shots. I just feel that Jerome. Still, when you're fighting a guy like Tyson, there's a hell of a lot of experience there in Tyson Nam. And the footwork that Tyson Nam uses to get on the outside of your footing to land that power shot, he's subtle at doing it and he doesn't make it look that obvious. I've got to go towards Tyson Nam here. I feel like he can get the win here. I would not be surprised if he got a finish. I think he could potentially knock Jerome down to the ground with a strike and get on top of him to then maybe forward on to a submission win later on in maybe rounds 2 or 3. But do watch this space. I feel Tyson Nam might be coming out of his UFC shell, so to speak, at bantamweight, and I think it's a better fit for him. But hey, who knows? If you feel like Tyson Nam's going to win or Rivera's going to win, hit that comments down there and let us know your picks. We are sorry for this going out so late. Like I say, it was just work for the pair of us. Just crossing paths didn't happen. I'm going to go next up to the the welterweight division. Another fight got changed around. Miguel Bizarre. Here we go. I'm going to Bezar against Jeremiah Wells. Now, this fight's been obviously changed up. It was meant to be an original amount of Mickey Gall was meant to fight Miguel. And I'll be honest with you, I had Miguel all day long in that fight against Mickey Gall. I just didn't feel Mickey Gall had the kind of the stamina on the feet to really kind of keep himself away from the power that Miguel offers at that kind of standard and that kind of class, because I feel Miguel's got the beautiful calf kicks as well as the wicked hand speed. I just thought Mickey Gall would have had to just grapple all the way through that fight, similar to the Mike Perry fight where he thought he'd stand for a bit, try to grapple, but it didn't come off to him too well. As long as Miguel could have sustained the staying up standing, I think he would have had great success. But it isn't the case. He's fighting a guy in Jeremiah Wells who is a very strong guy, very strong opponent. He's got some nice little kind of ankle tap trips when he gets in the clinch, when he gets like a 1 under 1 over grappling situation. He's very smart at just switching the body weight to tilt you over. So Miguel's got to be very cautious of this because that is Jeremiah's go-to. On the feet, he's not a polished striking. He's got a lot of power because he throws heavy, but his striking's not that clean. Miguel should be able to really use his striking and pick off here. He should be able to land some good counter strikes. He should be able to use his footwork to get around and get away from him. Sorry about this, guys and girls. I need a quick sip. Always stay hydrated. You need to use your footwork and movement and get in and around this positioning like this. And I feel in this fight, Miguel 100% could do this. I feel that he's got the footwork and the speed to keep away from Jeremiah's kind of grappling aspects. And if it does get to the cage, he just has to keep Jeremiah off him. Just don't get it to the ground. Fight for those underhook battles. Get that out, circle out, and just reset again back in the center of the cage. Keep the space, keep the distance, and use your hands. I'm going to go for a stoppage here for Miguel. I feel like his power, especially the calf kicks that he throws, they're so quick and powerful. It will certainly stifle and really restrict the movement of Wells, especially because Wells will like to come forward with aggression with a couple of combinations to kind of charge you back to the cage. I feel that Miguel's going to actually have him on the back foot. When he's on the back foot, Wells, that is something that he's not too good at. Hasn't quite got the kind of counter-striking or the footwork to kind of reposition himself or offer too much of a threat when he's going back. Now, it is an art form in itself, because if you go to any gym, you go to ATT, you go to TriStar, you go to SBG, wherever you go, if you are there, you will see coaches and they will have you going forward on the pad work. It's not often guys practice going back. And I think it's something, if you were to introduce it, you would actually add to your fighter's skill set, a little thing in their back pocket, and it would be dynamite. So I'm going to pick Miguel here. I think get a stoppage. Ladies and gentlemen, again, you think anything different, there's a comment section there below. Feel free to join in, give us your picks. Let me know what you think about the NFL season starting as well. Like I say, because I'm wearing my Chargers to top. And I'm going to go to the next fight, which is in the featherweight division. We have Darrick Minner against TJ Laramie. Now, I'm going to pronounce this wrong because he's like a French-Canadian. It's probably a Laramie or Laramie, but I'm going to say Laramie. Okay, that's what he's getting off me because I'm not French-Canadian. But we'll call him TJ for sure. Make it a lot easier, folks. TJ himself, watched him on, you can see him on Fight Pass. His credentials for himself speak for itself. You see, I think he's actually quite a well-rounded fighter. I think he's got a lovely little bit of skill set. He offers a lot on the table in the fight game. I think that he's got just a good all-round skill set, really, that can really cause problems for Darrick. The issue you've got for this is it's a one round or done, one or bust for Minner. You know, he cannot last more than a round, as we've seen before plenty of times. He gets in and that's it. He's got one round of really hard, aggressive submission attempts. And he sometimes, like I say, sometimes he, as often, has got it nearly. And he's shown that in the UFC. If you look at the Daniel Swain fight that TJ had, there was a rib injury, sadly. He won the fight, but we don't know if the rib injury to his opponent was by him or by prior to the fight. So I'm not saying he got a bye, but he got in there. But if you look, he's fought a TKO, and he's fought, which is a kind of reputable promotion. He's very patient with his striking, which is one thing that it could actually benefit him in a fight like this, because this is where Minner can just take too long to get into the fight. He takes too long to be Minner takes 5 minutes and he's gone. TJ takes too long, I feel, sometimes throwing his combinations and get into the fight. But in a fight like this, if he can maybe pace himself, he could actually get the win by decision. So I'm actually going to go with a TJ win. I'm going to go with decision win. I think he can get the second and third round. I think Minner will get the first round as usual. He's just super aggressive, super quick, and goes for submissions galore. But I think TJ, if he can probably get out this first round. He knows what he's expecting, and then start to apply his own game. So I'm going to go with TJ for a decision win in this fight, because he's not fighting a guy who's just too dangerous on the feet. Next up, we have in the bantamweight division, Andre Ewell is taking on Erwin Rivera. And I was a bit stuck on this fight myself. I found it a bit tough to decide because Andre Ewell I feel like he's an underperforming athlete I think he's got great attributes that should have him doing a lot better than he does. Maybe his fight IQ lets him down in moments of fights. And Erwin Rivera is a very aggressive fighter. He's got a great output, but I don't feel like he's a polished fighter and a highly skilled fighter. And this is where the fight kind of, for me, it's frustrating because I feel like Andre Ewell sometimes thinks I don't say he thinks he's better than he is. He sometimes gets ahead of himself and fights as a skill set and as who he is. I think he needs to really start to cement himself with his range, good strikes, good jabs, and really use the footwork a lot better than he does. Erwin Rivera, it should be a winnable fight. Gosh, it was a crazy fight that he had against Ali. Ali Al-Quasi? I'm going to murder that name. Sorry, guys and girls, but I just murdered the names. He had a solid fight, back and forth, but you can't win fights like that all the time because there are fighters out there who are more polished and better strikers. Obviously, he stepped in that fight against Giga, well outsized, wasn't even worth doing that fight. It was a silly thing for him to do. But either way, Andre Ewell is just a guy who's just lacking that consistency. I know he got the Martinez win, solid win them there. He beats the guys he probably should beat, like Anderson de Santos. I just hope he doesn't live on that Borella win. I just hope he doesn't live off that. I would like to see him get a bit more consistency. This is opportunity really for him to get 2 wins in a row in the UFC, which he hasn't had yet. So I'm going to put a bit of faith in Andre Ewell. I think Erwin Rivera is a guy you can beat. You should be able to pick him off. You should be able to outsmart him, and you should be able to outthink him. So I'm going to go with Andre Ewell on this one. I feel like he should be able to get the better of this kid. So that's my pick on that side of things. Next up, we have another bantamweight bout. Journey Newson against Randy Costa. Now, Randy Costa is a bit brash when he's fighting, a bit overly confident, so to speak, but he's got some good skills. He's got some legit kicks. He's got some good dexterity, some good movement about him. He's a slick fighter. He is. He really is solid. Super young in his career, which, showed in the Brandon Davis fight. The Boston Salmon fight was they're both at the same level. Like in a regional show, those two would have been perfect to be regional fighters. He got a nice win against Boston Salmon, but I'm not high up on Boston Salmon in any way. It was meant to fight Martin Day, Costa was, but obviously COVID hit, and it might have been a more suitable fight for him, to be honest with you. Jim Newson, though, he's an absolute little powerhouse he is. Little powerhouse Journey is. Again, if you're listening, ladies and gentlemen, please hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and also hit the like button on the video. And yeah, Journey Newson, one thing that's a little bit underrated, man, that kid has got some powerful leg kicks and will hurt guys. Like with Ricardo Ramos. When he fought Ricardo Ramos, messed the kid's leg up, with some great little leg kicks. I know he lost the decision, but in that fight, he could have done a lot more if he maybe had the kind of fight IQ in that moment to take advantage of it. There was the Peralta fight. Well, we'll ignore that because that was a write-off. But it was an interesting thing. He's got a hell of a lot of power in his hands because he plants himself down, throws heavy. He's fighting a guy with Costa. I'm a bit stuck again because I feel like with Randy Costa, in that moment, Randy Costa needs to use footwork movements to keep out of range. Journey Newson has so much power when he will wait for Randy to come in and land heavy on him. So I'm going to go with the wild child here in Journey Newson. I think he can absolutely legitimately throw some heavy lever onto Randy Costa when he comes in because I feel Randy just sometimes gets a bit over himself, gets a bit eager, and can throw a bit too much too soon, and he'll get caught by Journey Newson. So I'm going to go Journey on this one. Next up, we have in the women's bantamweight division is Jessica Rose Clark. She is going up against Sarah Alpar or Alpar. We'll go Alpar, like Alpen I don't know if you know what the Alpin is, but it's a cereal, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to Google it. Yeah, Sarah Alpin, girl from the kind of regional scene. She won on the Dana White Contender Series, got herself a victory with a lovely little rear naked choke. She's fought on, do you know what? She's fought on LFA, which is a legitimate, and she's fought on Titan FC. I think she's going to have a really rough day in the office against Jessica Rose Clark. I just don't think on not even a skill set wise. I think for Sarah, she got pieced up in some of the fights, and she as well is a very inconsistent fighter. She is not fighting often enough. She's not regularly fighting, so her kind of issue will be, I think, what's this, 5? This would be a 4th or 5th fight. She's fought once a year since like 2015 onwards. She's very rarely has 2 or 3 fights a year. That to me is really poor because it will show poor ring rust. It will show that in this fight, I think she's going to get hit, which is weird to think that Jessica Rose Clark is going to get off and hit on you. But Jessica Rose Clark is probably going to land some strikes on this girl. I think that one thing that Jessica Rose Clark needs is obviously a win. She'll show that. She's been at the UFC. I think she's been at the PI Institute as well, doing some stuff there for a little bit. I think that she needs to get that victory. And one way she'll do it, she will grapple this girl. She will get to the cage and she will outwork the girl. I think she's going to really put some power and problems into her kind of realm. I think she'll out-grapple on the cage and really frustrate her, keep Sarah close, keep her pinned down, and just get the decision that way. I just feel like Sarah's a little bit below what you need in the UFC. And again, that's something I've thought about doing as a live stream, but of what is classed as UFC level. 2 seconds, I'll sip again. And like I say, Michael Chandler has just signed up to the UFC. I don't know what you guys and girls think about Michael Chandler signing, but I'd love to know what you all think. I think it's an interesting signature on that roster now. He is a talented man. I look like, well, we look similar, twinning in the body department. Let's go to, though, I'm going to pick Jessica Rose Clark. So that's my pick. Next up, we have in the flyweight division. We have the little boys in. We have Jordan Espinoza against David Dvorak. Now, man, that David, whichever way you want to pronounce it, had a hell of a fight in his debut. Looked tremendous, threw a hell of an output. Maybe he got a little bit gassed. Maybe it was a bit of exuberance. Maybe it was just the excitement of being in the UFC, performing, who knows. But he showed a plethora of weapons, and I have to say I was impressed. Great little solid strike and leg kicks. Showed good cardio to an extent. I definitely think it was a little bit where he just got the, I don't want to say jitters, but it definitely played a factor in the Bruno Silva fight. He showed good composure with the grappling aspects and the ground game aspects. He looks like a dangerous guy in this division, and I think he will be. I think he was too quick to try and get the finish against Bruno Silva. I think if he just took his time in that fight, he would have had a bit more success and probably landed. And I think we'll see a nicer version of him in this one. I think we'll see a lot calmer version. Jordan Espinoza, though, is no joke himself. I'm not saying he's a pushover. He's a legitimate flyweight. He can absolutely be a problem for a lot of people. The Mark De La Rosa fight, I thought he fought really well there. I'm not overly hyped on Mark De La Rosa. Just my opinion, but he has shown areas of his game where he has got weakness, and one of them is the grappling aspect, where he can get submitted and he can get a bit tied up there. So whether he be on top or on bottom, he's shown small holes in his games, and that is one of them. And I think this is an opportunity where you think, when you see that, if I'm David, I would try to grapple with this guy a bit. I'll try to get the takedowns on him. I'll try to get on top and try to get the victories in that manner. But I think David and Jordan are both going to try and strike it out. I don't think David's going to try and get the fight to the ground. I'm going to pick David for win here. I think the guy's got a really good little ceiling here. I think he'd be really good in the UFC flyweight division. Easily be pushing top 5 in the next 18 months because I think he's just a really high level talent. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to think flyweight division. David's going to get a stoppage. I think he can stop Jordan with his hands. I think he's a quality fighter. Big up on him. I'm going to go with David on this one. Next up, we have in the women's flyweight division. Apparently, it's the headline act, but again, like I say, because of the rejig of the card and the replacement fights, I don't know if it's true. Kind of hope it isn't. Mayra Bueno Silva against Mara Romero Borella. This is a fight for Silva to get the win. I don't know how else to put it, but Mara's lost 3 in a row. I think there's more in Silva as a fighter. There's more markability. There's more kind of fights for it. That she's a far more suitable girl to keep on your roster than Mara is, in my opinion. Now, I'm picking Mara straight off the cuff. Now, feel free, ladies and gentlemen, to give me your pick on this fight itself, but I just feel like Mara Silva, she just has a better all-round fight game than what Mara does. So, I know she lost to Morose, which is by all means is not a bad loss. She is a solid striker, solid little boxer, and a nightmare for any girl. But for me, Borella is just, man, she is not performing well. Man, she's like 1-4. Yeah, no, 1-4. Yeah, 1-4 in the last 5. And even that was a split decision win. I just feel like she's there for the taking, whether it be a submission, whether it be a decision win. You could stop her with your hands. And one thing, this one thing, Silva can submit you. And I think she'll get it down to the ground. I think she'll engage the grappling because Borella herself seems to be okay with engaging in grappling aspects. She seems happy to get the fight to the ground as well. I don't feel like she stops it enough or puts too much effort to stop or emphasis. So yeah, I've got to pick here. I think Silva's going to get a win. I think she's going to get a submission. But even on the feet, she's solid on the feet. I think she might even force Borella to want to go for the ground game because I think she'll light her up on the feet. So I'm going Silva finish. I'm going to go submission, but who knows which way she'll finish her. Next up, kicking off the main card, all right, we have Kevin Holland against Darren Stewart. I am going to be a bit rude here. I'm going to be a bit biased. I know I shouldn't be. I should be straight down the middle, 50-50, judge it on accountability and your ability, your record and how you perform, etc. Tape studies, yada, yada, yada. But I'm going Darren Stewart. He's my boy. Sorry, folks. I've had Darren Stewart on the podcast since he was making his pro debut. That is how long I've been going with this guy. And it's sorry. Hung out with him in UFC Liverpool when we were over there. Love his lovely family too. He's just a great guy. So I'm picking Darren Stewart, but I'll give him reasons why. He's shown the last fight. He was very smart and saw the opportunity with Mackie to get a submission win. Having that submission win on his record is huge because he's been submitted himself, but he's never really went out there and actually submitted anyone himself. So to get that career submission win is big. So that's his first career submission win. He's had a lot going on with a very dear friend of his being murdered. So a lot going on in his head there. And one of the things that helped him was actually fighting, being in fight camp, keeping his mind occupied. And it's a fire. There's a fire in him. That's what it is. So it's still burning strong because of what happened to his friend recently this year. And I feel, that it's something that can actually help you in fights. It sounds crazy, but as long as he doesn't let the emotions get to him too much, as long as he uses the energy as good like he does, he should be doing it superb in his fight. Kevin Holland is a guy who will stand with him and throw strikes. Kevin can take fights to the ground and grapple. He did against John Phillips, but I think with John Phillips, the reason why he did it with the John Phillips fight is because anyone could take John Phillips down. Like he's so bad at stopping takedowns. It's atrocious. And he's still in the UFC, John Phillips. I just don't get it. I'm like, he can't stop a takedown. That's why when people fight you, that's what they're going to do. Yeah, he keeps letting people take him down. I don't know why he can't learn how to sprawl. Blows my mind. He's got doesn't fight for the underhook, doesn't turn on his hips when a takedown comes in. So that's why Kevin Holland beat John Phillips, because John Phillips doesn't have that. But Darren Stewart, though, has got he has got a decent kind of takedown defense to an extent. As long as you're not Fabianski, who's just all about the takedown and a strong grappler. Like the which fight was it? The Chris Bird was trying to get him down. Eric Spicer, I think, was trying to get him down as well. Bevan Lewis, there's a handful of fights out there where guys trying to get him down. He does seem to do okay. The takedown defense down. He's improving all the time. He's light on his feet, and that's from his dancing. If you don't know already, Darren Stewart does a bit of doubt and has dabbled in a bit of dancing in the past. Little snake hips that he has, and he's got power in his hands. So this will be a case of Kevin Holland will be trying to use leg kicks. Absolutely, that's something he'll have to go for. Darren has to be wary of that, and if he does for the leg kicks, if I'm Darren, go for the takedown. Try and get the grappling aspect in there. Get mixing it into Kevin's head. So I'm picking Darren Stewart. I think, man, his hands are hard. He hits heavy. And there's that fire, like I said before, in him. So I'm going down Stewart. Love to know what you girls and guys at home are thinking about and who you're picking for this fight between Kevin Holland and Darren Stewart. I'd love to know. So please feel put a comment in there on the to the right hand side. Yeah, it should be on the right hand side. So feel free to comment. And again, hit like on the video and subscribe if you've not subscribed before. Next up, we have is the women's strawweight division. We have Randa Marcos taking on Mackenzie Dern. It's a bit of a weird one. This you could go statistics. Now, statistically, Randa Marcos does not win 2 fights in a row, and she does not lose 2 fights in a row. Don't know why. It's weird. In her career, she's never lost 2 in a row. She's won in a pro career 3 in a row when she started off, but other than that, she's not won 2 in a row. So statistically, she lost the last fight. So she should theoretically win this fight against Mackenzie Dern, theoretically. Mackenzie Dern changed fight camp as well because of the incident. I'm sure, I assume that people have heard about it. Her previous fight camp, Black House that she was training at, there was a scuffle with her husband and one of the coaches, which thus she left. New coaching. She's with Jason Perello, who's freaking awesome as a striking coach. So she's moved. And so the effects that she's having now of a striking coaching, that really won't take effect in this fight. The stuff she's learning now should be probably taking an effect in a year or so. Let's give or take. But Mackenzie Dern, we know what she's going to do. She's going to throw heavy. She's going to grapple, and then she's going to tap you out. That's pretty much what she's going to do. There's no if, buts, or maybes. That's her goal. That's all she wants. And I think a Randa Marcos is not a bad option to have. Randa Marcos is tough. She's got solid endurance. She's okay on the grappling aspect, but she shouldn't be too many problems for Mackenzie Dern. And I'm going to go with Mackenzie Dern. Now, I think she's going to get a submission. She's been submitted before, Randa, and I just think Mackenzie is just a different level when it comes to that grappling aspect. And there is no way I cannot see Randa not go 3 rounds without being in a grappling aspect. So, hey, Boone, thanks very much for the comment, man. Will is not here. I should have said before as well. I keep forgetting this. I keep saying to myself, remind folks who keep jumping in, Will is not on the podcast this week. Reason is his work and my work, because I've got different hours now. He's got different hours. They just clashed. We couldn't make it happen with stuff. We're both being tied up. So we just quickly had to do something this week. So that's all it is. So that's why there's no Will. So apologies for that. I know that everyone enjoys both kind of commentaries, so to speak, and both opinions. But that is the case this week. So I just feel like Mackenzie Dern, she's got such a ace. She's got an ace in the hole, and it's hard to really look past it. Next up, we have in the light heavyweight division. I have to say this is the toughest. This is the toughest one for me to call on the fight card. Johnny Walker returns against Ryan Spann. Fantastic matchup. Johnny Walker has not been performing the last couple of fights. Got absolutely grappled to death. Absolutely taken the town by Krylov. Could not stop the takedowns, couldn't get off his feet, just couldn't get going. Krylov, tough as coffin nails, showed a solid performance, smart performance. We've got Ryan Spann now, who is looking a lot better over these few fights in the UFC. He's just coming on a little bit more. Now, I know he beat Antonio Nogueira, who was 722 years old, I think, when he fought then. Got that solid win. It's a good little feather in his cap. Then he got a submission win, which is fantastic, against Devin Clark. And then you had Sam Alvey fight decision. So he's had a few fights there where he's getting a bit of everything in him, and he's done superbly well. The Sam Alvey fight was a hard one to score as well, because Sam Alvey's just a smart fighter. As much as people think Sam Alvey's, not very good, he's a shrewd fighter. He knows what he's doing. He's got tons of experience, and he's just lulls you in to a false sense of security, and then he gets you. So Sam Alvey, got a solid little performance out of Ryan Spann. Man, Johnny Walker though got the huge ascendance. There's a difference between pass for both these fighters. With the quick finishes that Johnny Walker had, he shot up straight away. You had your Khalil, your Ledette, your Serkinov. Those guys are your middle range light heavyweights, and then straight up Corey Anderson, who's now obviously gone on to sign with Bellator. So he went the other way, while Chandler has gone to the UFC. And then Nikita Krylov, again, who's another tough outing. So I was torn between, will Johnny Walker get the space to perform? But then again, Ryan Spann likes the space because he then just picks you off. Will he get the opportunity? Johnny Walker said he loves training at SBG Ireland, but I don't think there's enough big guys at that gym to really train with Johnny Walker. This is one of the issues Johnny Walker will have. He's a big lad. He needs big guys to train with. I would have thought training in Poland, maybe with Blachowicz or someone like that. Those kind of guys down there might be a good one to do. But he said he's happy there with the kind of John Kavanagh crew and stuff like that. But I'm a little bit up and down because he changes camps and moves around. I'm a bit torn. And Ryan Spann is on a roll. He's on a lovely win streak. Confidence is booming. Yeah, don't forget, he'll have confidence for days with this. Now, he can get stopped, Ryan Spann. That's the issue. He has been stopped a few times, but Johnny Walker's shown he's got a questionable chin. I'm going to go Ryan Spann. I'm still going with Spann. I've still got belief in the kid. I still have faith in him. I'd love to know your picks, guys and girls, of Spann and Walker. I think it's a really hard one to pick. It's not an easy one because you just don't know what Johnny Walker is going to rock up and what performance he's going to put in. Because if Ryan Spann tries to put the grappling game on Johnny Walker, then that game's already it's wrote off. Johnny Walker's going to have a nightmare. If he's been trained at SBG, I don't think you're going to see much grappling improvements from him. Because last time I checked, they're not too good at the whole grappling game. Sorry, folks, need to wet the vocal cords just for yourselves. Now, next up on the card, we are jumping over to the middleweight division. Temporarily, Khamzat Chimaev is going back up to middleweight because he apparently is going to fight next month. He's fighting Gerald Meerschaert. I kind of feel it's a slight on Gerald Meerschaert in regards to what Dana White was acting and the behavior in which they've acted in this way. I don't know how you guys feel about it. It's a bit wrong to kind of write off Gerald Meerschaert and just put in Chimaev to straight away fight in October. Be like, yeah, it's fine. I get that he wants to fight regular, but when you fight, then you get it, or even put it on the back burner. But that kind of gives a fight to Gerald Meerschaert. But the issue you have a kind of polar opposite of opponents here. Chimaev just comes out from the start, goes for the takedown, gets on top of you, puts a heavy grappling aspect on you, gets heavy, and then that's how he's going to get his win. Gerald Meerschaert, slow first rounder. Slow. Does not go fast in the first round. Then he gets in his groove, starts to find the timing, starts to find opportunities, space, and sees where you're at. And then he starts to apply himself. But he's also got a solid grappling game. But this is where it bites him in the ass. And be honest with you, Gerald Meerschaert gets caught on the game. Like, he will be happy to go down to the ground because he's confident that his grappling's enough to get him the win. It's not the case. If you look at his fights, he's had fights where he gets to the ground, where he's thinking, like, for example, the Jack Hermanson fight. Whoo, that is the only fight I could look at and think about when I thought, I know Jack Hermanson is a middleweight and Chimaev's not middleweight, but Chimaev's got such great grappling control. He gets heavy on you. It's a long day in the office, folks. Super long day in the office. And Jack Hermanson obviously applied some heavy ground and pound. I think and I feel that Gerald might not win this fight on the pure basis that Chimaev starts so good, it will overwhelm Gerald for the second round. It will just not do him any favors because he won't be able to get his submission game off. Because one thing you've got to think about, one thing that Chimaev does, he won't grapple you to get into your guard. He grapples to get into half guard where he can pin you down with your leg, or he will get to side control where you will turn away or turn out to try and get away, to which he can get backside control to the pin you. There is certain positions that he looks for in the fights, and he'll also do it a lot of the time against the cage. That is a weapon as much as it is an advantage for you, the one who was on the ground, because fighters use the cage sometimes to get themselves back up again. For Chimaev, it's more of a weapon for him. It stops you moving away, rolling away. It also helps cause more friction to make it a bit harder for you to get up. And he uses his weight on you onto the cage, which emphasizes that friction. It emphasizes him to be able to pin you down a bit more and get strikes off on you. And then he gets on top and it gets heavier and harder. I think Meerschaert's going to have a rough first round. I do. I just feel like he starts too slow. It doesn't do him any favors. Chimaev's just going to throw some crazy little 1-2 punches and just go for the takedown. And I think he'll get it. I think the kid is a legit talent. I think he's a grappling beast. And I think he'll be fine this now. When he fights if he fights Damian Maia, if that's the apparent fight, he might find it a bit hard because Damian Maia's he's a former middleweight, ridiculously powerful, strong Damian Maia is. So might find it a bit more difficult than Gerald Meerschaert. But I'm going to actually go Chimaev here. I think that he can get a decision win if he can't get a stoppage and with a kind of ground and pound, pinning it down. Like almost a point where you pin it and you just land the strikes because you're not intelligent, you defend yourself, that kind of win, not necessarily stopping Gerald Meerschaert. But I'm going to go with Chimaev there. But again, feel free to put your picks in the comment section below. Love to hear who you all are thinking going to win. Next up we have in the welterweight division is Donald Cerrone against Niko Price. Man, it's a good opportunity for Niko Price to get a name like Donald Cerrone under his belt. I thought Donald was going and staying back at 155, and then it's back up to welterweight again. I think the right fights for him at welterweight, that's why he takes them. And I think Niko Price is the right fight to take. I think it's a guy who is open to getting hit. He, as much as he wants to be an aggressor, if you can come at him and just land a bit and land a few, you can absolutely hurt him. Now, obviously, we know Donald Cerrone, again, is similar to Gerald Meerschaert. Super slow first round, takes the time to get going. But when he gets hit, he kind of starts to wake up. And I think at welterweight, he's got a bit more, I don't want to say a bit more of a chin. That's a bit wrong. But Niko Price is vulnerable. I just feel like for some reason, fighting Vicente Luque twice is not a good idea. And that was, oh my, that war twice, by the way, folks, because I know they've fought last time and it was a stoppage because of a cut. No, his eye swollen. Sorry, his eye swollen shut. But he got, man, that was back in May. So he got May, June, July, August, September now. So 5 months of recovery. But he keeps going into these. He keeps having some of these wars or gets knocked out. And Niko Price is one of the guys that I feel like he is a kind of win one, lose one. Donald Cerrone, I've got to be honest, this is the potential for him. I don't know if they'll cut him because he's the kind of guy who could lose 5 fights and they would still keep Donald Cerrone on the card. But to be fair, Donald Cerrone, his last 4 fights that he's lost in a row: Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje, Conor McGregor, Anthony Pettis. 4 of those fights he's lost. Now, last time I checked, they're not too bad, any of them. So it's an awkward one. He's not losing to bums. He's losing to like the guys who are top 5, just top echelon kind of guys. He's not losing to nobodies. It's super annoying. But you've got to take into account, and you have to accept, he's 37 years old. He's been in a lot of fights. It takes its toll on you. It does. It wears you down a little bit. It takes a bit off you. There is no way, no how you can say that with, 50 odd fights, that is not starting to take an effect on him. But Nico Price is so hit and miss, and he's vulnerable to getting hit. I'm going to go towards Donald Cerrone. He's lost 4 in a row. He's got his boy. He's got his kid. Man, there has got to be a little fire in him that wants to win and be impressive and be aggressive. I feel like Nico Price is a more suitable welterweight matchup for him. I think if he goes back down to 155, there is other matchups there for Donald Cerrone, which would be absolutely superb for him to take on. But right now, 170, a Nico Price fight, I think Donald could do this. I think, 100%. I think the striking is the combinations that he can throw outweigh what Nico Price can throw. And I think he can land some good shots, good leg kicks as well. I just wish he was a bit more outgoing in the first round. If you could apply the striking similar to what Vicente Luque did, I think he'll cause Nico Price some problems. Nico Price, though, conditioning-wise, he's looked great. He's looked a lot more improved over the past few fights, but I'm going towards Donald Cerrone. I think he can snap this skid, the 4-fight skid. I think he's going to snap against Nico Price. But I'd love to know what you all think, folks, and feel free to put a comment in. And next up we have in the main event is Colby Covington against Tyron Woodley. The matchup is happening. There's been a bit of a disagreement, a bit of fire between these guys. Obviously, it's just, I rephrase that. Colby runs his mouth and people respond. What do you expect? Because if you just don't respond to him, he doesn't get the attention. So Tyron could just not answered questions in the media and the press, and just it could have rocked over. So Colby Covington is coming into this fight, running his mouth again. Do you know what? I'm still impressed by Colby. I think he's still impressing me the way he is performing in this fight game. Even though he lost, obviously, to Kamaru Usman. He lost fair and square. I think that he could absolutely, obviously, I think it was a broken or fractured jaw, whatever it was, or obviously something was done wrong there. I think that he did well in the fights leading up to it. I thought he was impressive. I think he just didn't have the right game plan against Usman. I've said for years, though, Usman was going to be a champ, and he proved himself to be, and he's doing fantastic at this. I don't know how long Usman will keep the belt for, but I think he's a solid champion right now to have there. Colby, though, the fight against Tyron Woodley is not the fight you'd be if you were. This fight happened, say, a couple of years back. I'd say 4 years ago. Man, I would have been really worried for Colby, because Tyron Woodley back then was a different animal. He had a different mindset. He was hungry. He's not hungry now. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what he says. You do not listen to him, because no way a fighter is ever going to sit there and go, nah, I'm not that hungry, but I'm getting paid 300 grand, so why do I not want to take the fight? He's going to take the fight. He's getting paid still. He's contracted. But the podcasting that he does, the music, we'll call the music a bit of a loss on that one. He definitely took an L on there. The kind of out of fight distractions. He does the broadcasting. Don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with having an out. He's got broadcasting as an out. But I feel like there's too many outs he has at the present time, which dilute him. He talked about this Tiger Muay Thai camp that he did. I don't know if it was Tiger Muay Thai, but go to Thailand. Didn't show it. Not even for a second in the Gilbert fight. He got absolutely mollywopped in his last 2 fights. Gilbert Burns schooled him. Kamaru Usman wrestled him till the end of the days. It was embarrassing, and you could see the frustration by Dean Thomas in the corner. He was like, let it go, let's go. And he just wasn't. He just wasn't. He's a shell of the man that he was. And you thought with the Darren Till win, it might have been a little fire up his arse, get him going again. Nah. I've got to be honest with you. I'm not hoping for much in this fight other than a Colby win. I feel like Colby will be, conditioning wise, he will just out punch and out strike, kind of like the Robbie Lawler fight. Colby did the right thing in the Robbie Lawler fight, where he just kept throwing such an abundance of strikes, and not all of them were hard, but he would throw a hard strike in there every now and then just to keep you on your toes, so you're not being able to relax and not think, oh, I don't have to put my hands up for this. I don't have to block it because he's not throwing anything heavy. I'll be able to hit him. I do. I think wrestling-wise, Tyron Woodley gets very sweaty, like me. I'm the same as him. It does make grappling harder. When you've got someone like Colby, who's a solid wrestler as well, it actually makes it even harder, because when they're wrestling, they're sprawling. That sprawl, when you're covered in sweat, is so much more than a normal sprawl when they're dry, because there's a bit of friction. I think Colby's going to be okay with the grappling aspect. I don't think Tyron's going to try and take him down. I just don't. I don't believe there's a lot in Tyron Woodley left. He's not going to get his belt back. No chance. I just can't see where he's going to do it. He's 38 years old. Like, how much more does he want to keep going? How many more fights does he want to have? Does he just want to get that one win and then call it a day and just go, I just need to get that one win out? Or I just feel like Colby's got a bit more there. I think Colby's got to be the gobby kid that he is. It's what he does. Make America great again. Donald Trump, yay, all this stuff. By the way, I didn't not really care about Trump or Biden. It's all a mess anyway. But in regards to the fight itself, I feel like Colby's got the weapons to win. Game-wise, I think he's just a better fighter at the moment. I think he's a better fighter than Tyron Woodley at this present time. I really do. And I'm going to pick Colby decision win. I just think he'll just I just think he'll break Woodley for the fight. Woodley's going to swing every now and then with some big shots. As long as Colby's just aware of it, sharp on it, and just comes out of the way, I think he'd be absolutely fine. So I don't see any problems for Colby there, and I feel he'll get the win just on sheer abundance of strikes. So that's the picks. I'd love to know what your picks are, ladies and gentlemen, for the fight card, or any particular fights that you guys are looking forward to. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button. I'm going to jump over to the betting side now. I'm just going to talk about the betting odds, and if there's any attractive odds out there, because obviously there's been some movement, some changes. You've got Randy Costa against Journey Newson. You've got here Newson, it seems to be the favorite at the present time. Minus 137. That's not too bad at all there. Sarah Alpar, plus 188. Jessica Rose Clark, minus 200. That's not bad, minus 200. Jessica Rose Clark. I thought she would have been a heavier favorite in that fight. Miguel Beza against Wells. Big one here. You've got minus 300 against plus 275. That's if you want to go for a dog, Wells might be a grappling one, but I don't think it'll happen. But Borella is minus 225, 100% should be. Silva minus 250. Yeah, dead on there. There's not much there. You could maybe use Silva in a parlay piece. You've got here Espinoza and Dvorak is a pick'em. They're both around minus 110. That's good odds, that for them too. You probably maybe go for plus 1.5 rounds, maybe stuff like that, if you were to put any money onto that. Ewell and Rivera. Ewell minus 200. I think that's a bit high. And Rivera minus 188. Rivera could win. He really could. I know I picked Ewell, but Rivera, man, he's got a lot of output, solid little chin on him, and the guy keeps going. Good gas tank. That could be a good upset, a good one there. Minner against Laramie. Minner plus 250. Laramie minus 275. I didn't see those odds coming like that, but man, that's okay. That's kind of heavy and that's kind of high. Tyson Nam is minus 175. Jerome Rivera plus 150. That's not bad odds. That's okay. Minus 175. That's not bad for Nam. You could go, here we go. Let's go Khamzat against Khamzat Chimaev against what? Minus 385. The bookies are writing off Gerald Meerschaert at plus 310. Woo! Colby Woodley, man. It's nice. They haven't done this in order. Shocking work here, guys. Shocking work. Let's go to this. Here we go. Cerrone and Price. So Cerrone plus 130. Price minus 150. I expect that minus four losses in a row. Don't be surprised at that, but plus 130 money for Cerrone. I'd be on that. Spann Walker. Here we go. Spann plus 110. Walker 120. I expect that to be a pick and fight come fight day. The odds still 24 hours for people to change their over 24 hours. So people change their bets. Kevin Holland minus 250. Darren Stewart plus 200. Okay. Darren Stewart, that's not bad. Plus 200. Mackenzie Dern minus 175 and Random Marcos plus 145. I expect that to be a big gap, but that's not bad. 170 for Dern. She's again, you stick it in a parlay piece and get some plus money. Colby's minus 130. Oh, sorry, minus 350. Sorry, and Woodley's plus 280. That's a bit heavy, but at the same time, there is a MMA. It's a fall from grace. This sport, ladies and gentlemen, and that is it right there. Former champ. Lost 2 fights, title fight in his next fight, and he goes straight to a plus 280 guy. Man, that is a fight game. It is cruel, the MMA game. There's some interesting pieces there. Keep an eye on the odds. They'll change. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining in. It's been great to have you all on. Again, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and feel free to put a comment and let me know who you're picking for the fight this week. Speak to you soon. We'll speak to you next week when me and Will are back for the Israel Adesanya. Woo! Oh, yeah, against Boca Chia.